This is BreakmanX, and welcome to the game show on June 25th, 2025. Always have to figure out what the date is. How's it going, everybody? The game show is a celebration of video games and our collective interests mixed with a healthy dose of humor while bringing in our favorite people in the game and movie industries on as guests. And as always, I've got my buddies here with me. Jack, how's it going this evening?
Doing pretty great. Me and my buddy, the Roaring Knight, it's been a long time this weekend getting to know each other.
Oh, nice. Nice. And the order is a little bit messed up this week since Maul isn't here, so I put Jess into Maul's spot. So, Jess, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. I am back home visiting family for a couple weeks, so that's why I have the background change, and things have been good.
Nice. Nice. And Logan, how are you?
Doing very good. Yeah, had a successful location scout in Topeka today and rushed back here, and I'm excited to talk some games.
Nice.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
Nice. And Darria.
Not too bad. Just excited for the weekly reprieve that we get to talk about all the things that we enjoy the most. So.
Yay, no stress for an hour and a half. Very, very nice. And our guest tonight, we've got a great one. HPRshredder is a creator on YouTube going back well over a decade. His primary focus lately has been extremely high-quality deep dives on Famicom games that evolve into some of the best videos I have ever seen on some of the games he's covered. If you like the Famicom/NES, you definitely need to check out his channel. So, HPRshredder, how are you doing this evening?
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm doing well, doing good. I think it's funny you said well over a decade. I took an 8-year break, but yeah, sure, a decade plus of YouTube experience.
We also took a 10-year break, so we're kind of kindred spirits in that regard. So very, very cool. Very cool. All right, so let's dive right into it this evening. So if you want to participate, you can just give a comment on our YouTube channel. You can also go to breakmanx.com and join our Discord and chat with us there. And Logan will be monitoring the chat this evening. I always feel like I'm setting up a Nickelodeon game show at the beginning. But all right. So let's start in with the content here. So obviously, as we just mentioned, your channel has been going on for quite a while. Tell us a little bit about your history with YouTube and what led us to now.
Oh, sure. I got started in 2011, I want to say, on accident. I uploaded a deck profile for Yu-Gi-Oh! Just so I could share it with someone else. And I posted it on Reddit back then, and people wanted more deck profiles, so I just started making more. And it was a Yu-Gi-Oh! Channel for a while. And then I stopped, and I always wanted to keep going, but I had no audio visual experience or equipment. It was my friend who was like filming me and even editing me just, for fun. We split the one check we did get from Google AdSense, which was like, they sent it in the mail back then. So like I was part of like the partner program initially, and then it kind of faded, and over time I had this kind of dead weight of like 600 or so subscribers that were still clinging on.
Dead weight.
I call it dead weight because I don't think those accounts are active, because when I came back it was like, it was the like totally different thing. Whenever you do a big shift in what you're doing on YouTube, you can't expect anyone to pay attention or care. And on top of that, if you have like a account they haven't seen pop up in their feed in like 8-9 years, that's something else entirely.
That's true.
But yeah, around I want to say 2015, I started thinking about, well, maybe I should just get back in myself because I missed it. And that was a little bit later. They announced the release of the NES Mini, like the classic edition.
Yeah.
You guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah. Yep.
I really wanted one. I was waiting for the Switch. I was waiting for Zelda Wii U. They were still calling it the NX at the time, and I realized that I had like never played most of these classic games, because when I grew up, it was like I had an N64. That was my first system of my own, and I just kind of wanted to dive in, and I thought that'd be fun if I just bought this and I played through the games, and maybe I'll make some YouTube stuff about that. But I never got one because they were out of stock. It was impossible to get. I think I got some amiibos instead because it was like the closest I could get to an actual game. And then it was just kind of this thing in the back of my mind. And I was slowly acquiring gear. I probably did things in the worst way you could possibly do them. I spent way too much money. And like, I'd never even used any of this stuff before. I had literally zero experience. So yeah, arrived at, I made my first video in 2021 for the channel. Maybe 2020, but I sat on it for a full year before I posted it. And
Whoa.
if you've watched the first video, it's really not very good at all. It's not even done. Like it literally cuts off because the camera cut off. And I was like, sorry guys, camera cut off. Maybe next time. Because at a certain point, you just have to
fade into the video.
You got to move on. And so I did.
It's
and
true.
I want to say around the 7th episode is kind of where I arrived at what I was actually doing. I was still kind of figuring it out until then. But I appreciate all the nice things you said about the channel early on. I appreciate that.
Oh yeah, no problem. No, I mean it. I was just telling Jess, actually, she got here early before I went to my pre-show break. That there's, and I'll mention it later on, but some of the best videos on a lot of these games, I can't remember which one it was that brought me in. It was quite a while ago, but I've seen all of them now, all the Famicom ones. They're really, really good. Yeah, they're really, really great. So if anyone out there, if you haven't checked them out, definitely check them out, and we'll get more into it lately. But Jack's going to bring us into the present here.
Yeah. So before I get into my main questions, so you mentioned amiibos. How many amiibos do you have now?
Right
And
now,
which one's your favorite too?
Okay. I have one right next to me, actually. I only have 2 right now because I ended up selling them when the Switch came out. Yeah, I to kind of help justify it, I regret selling the Wii U, actually. I've got my Ocarina of Time one.
Oh, nice.
Nice, yeah.
My favorite one is at work, though. It's
Man,
the Solaire amiibo.
your camera perfectly snapped focus on that too. That was
Oh, yeah, it's doing better than usual. I try actually sometimes to do this kind of thing, and wow, that's
perfect.
Great, actually.
Yeah.
Well,
really
oh,
good.
it's like basically like a rack focus. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's
Very
awesome.
nice.
Well, so my actual question is, what are you playing right now, man? Like, what are you getting into? Are you playing anything new, anything retro? Just what's on your plate right now?
Sure. Well, I'm always playing some retro games, but modern, I got the Switch too, so I've been just kind of working away at Mario Kart World. I've been playing the upgraded version of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
I've been playing some of my other Switch games. I played a little Monster Hunter Generations the other day with some friends, and it's been fun. There's not very many new games yet, but everyone's been playing on the same platform again to get used to it, and so I've seen more of my friends online, and it's been fun in that sense. Yeah.
That's awesome. How does Monster Hunter look on the Switch 2?
Exactly
Upgraded
the
at all?
same.
Okay.
Exactly the same.
Any more frames? better frame rate, maybe?
No. Generations was hard capped at 30, and so I think over time, that was a 3DS game originally. Still.
Oh yeah.
Over time, I think they're going to probably add more of those updates for Switch 2 because it really isn't that hard. I can't imagine it's that hard for most games to just uncap the frame rate or something like that, or cap it at 60 instead. Like a complete visual overhaul, I'm not expecting, but I know Dark Souls Remastered, for example, runs at a capped 30. There's lots of games like that, but then you have a game like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and suddenly it looks unbelievable. Or really janky before.
No, it's a pretty big jump. I mean, the Breath of the Wild, I've been playing a lot of that on the Switch too, and it's pretty amazing how much better the experience is. I'm particularly sensitive to frame rate, unfortunately. I wish I wasn't, but just playing it in perfect 60 FPS, 4K, I mean, it's ridiculous. It's the way the game, I think, was meant to be experienced.
It looks really, really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't touched Tears of the Kingdom yet, but I'm kind of a Tears of the Kingdom hater myself. So
not a big fan of the build it yourself stuff, or
well, I like building stuff, but there's kind of one thing you build in that game and it just solves every problem. And I build other stuff for fun, but it's less to do with the building. It's more to do with it's a whole bunch of stuff. it's kind of too much. It might be too much to get into all my problems. I have like a 10,000 word script I've been working on, and I kind of ditched it. But now that the new versions have come out, I'm like, maybe I make that after all.
I think that people would tune in for that. I'm sure.
Well, there's already a bunch. I'm late to the party at this point, but yeah.
Very cool.
That's all. Have you used game chat at all yet?
No. I wanted to, but you have to agree to terms before you use it. And so of everyone who's gotten the Switch 2 so far, I think 12 people on my Switch have enabled it. And every time I get on, there's no active chats. It's sad because I actually did use the Nintendo Switch voice chat app like on Mario Kart 8. And I didn't think anyone would. I remember I hopped on one night because I saw 8 people were chatting. Like it would give you a little notification. I was like, no way. Though. Like, right. No one's actually using this. And so I downloaded it and hopped on and I was like, it's just going to be kids though. Right. And no, it was like people in their 30s and 40s. Okay,
that's great. Cool. I love it.
Yes. Yeah. So I don't know. That was fun. I'm not sure that there's going to be any kind of like interactions with strangers though, which it's a good thing for kids, but for me it's kind of like it's fun to sometimes pop into a random chat. That's kind of what I feel like I'm doing right now.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much what we're doing.
Yeah.
So you just got to stay away from the Xbox Live Uno.
Okay.
I didn't realize stay away from me.
Intense.
Oh man.
That was I watched the Digital Foundry technical breakdown of the Switch 2, and they were saying that the game chat audio is the best implementation of voice oscillation and like audio chat like of any platform that they've used.
I've heard good things. Yeah.
So
love to try it someday. Yeah.
Yes. We should try it. Very cool. All right, Logan, you're up.
Yeah. So is there a particular level or experience from a game you've played that just sticks in your head as like really good design?
Ooh, I mean, a lot. I could talk about a few. I think, replaying Breath of the Wild recently, I think the Great Plateau is probably the strongest part of that whole game. It's just kind of like a contained open world experience, and it's kind of perfect in its own way. It's paced really well, and you're kind of picking up new tools. It's also the most difficult the game is. It's kind of inverted in its difficulty curve where you're extremely weak because you have nothing, and like there's a few tougher enemies and you can hop around. Once you get to the actual game, everything's so much more spread out, and it feels like less of a really designed experience, which is good and bad, or not really. It's not either actually, but it's just different. But that really nice beginning to the game is probably a really good example. And in Zelda 1, there's a moment that I talk about in that video that kind of blew me away. Actually, I have it right here.
Nice.
Yeah, my copy.
Yes.
And
I love the Famicom art. It's so great.
Yeah, it's so nice. There was a part in the last dungeon where you get used to blowing up random stuff in that game. It's like if you can sense that there's a like room on the other side, you kind of develop this sense of like, maybe I'll use a bomb. And you have limited bombs, so you want to be careful. But one sec. Had to burp. There's one specific
Hey,
part
welcome back.
where they create this hallway with these pillars in Death Mountain or in the final dungeon, and you access it only from the sides, and there's no like way to get in the center. And it's weird because they've presented this kind of hallway formation several times earlier in the game, and you can always walk between them. And I remember just seeing that moment and circling back around to the top, and I was like, sure enough, there's a space that I can get to where I can place a bomb. Bombed in, and then they're bombed out the other end. It kind of created my own hallway, and there wasn't like a specific reward, but it dropped you off inside of the eye of the skull of the shape that level made. Yep. And I was just like, man, this game is crazy. Like, because cool. I didn't grow up with that game. I hadn't played it before, and I was really impressed because most of the time you just hear complaining. It's like, oh, it sucks. You have to like bomb random. It doesn't tell me where the secrets are. It's like, well, it's not really a secret then, is it? You know, you play A Link to the Past and they're showing you where all the different bombable walls and stuff are. And if you look at a modern game like Elden Ring, I think something that it does really well, and Dark Souls, really all the Souls game, is they have those hidden walls everywhere. They kind of preserve that actual secret where it's like there's really no indication there's anything there. You might get a sense of it, or someone might leave a message, but so many people leave messages that you're just kind of whacking away anyway.
Yeah.
I would say, you end up rolling into every single wall you see.
Yeah.
I love
those are two things that stick out.
Right.
I love that point about Zelda 1 too, because there's so much you can really like hurt yourself by bombing things too much and running out of bombs and having to go back and get more bombs and all that. So there's a real hindrance to doing that makes it really rewarding. Growing up playing that game, and I'll talk a little bit, I have a question later on about playing these not having grown up with them, but growing up with that game, I had it for years, just wandering around. I mean, it took me years to beat it, and in fact, when I got it as a kid, I got it the year it came out, and beating it wasn't even really something in my mind. It was more of just like, I want to explore this world, and then you just randomly stumble upon stuff, and it really unfolded itself kind of throughout, and it's really cool in that way. So
yeah. I think those are two really interesting examples you brought too, because you've got like the original Zelda and then the modern like open world version, which are two like kind of different schools of design there. So it's cool.
But it's all about exploration, right?
yeah.
It's funny. It didn't actually like occur to me until like just now. Like in Horizon Forbidden West, there are certain like doors in these like places called cauldrons that you go into that have like the little, I don't know what the is it the Triforce symbol? I don't know if that's the...
Yes.
Okay.
We need to get you playing some Zelda.
I've never played Zelda.
You
so that there's secret doors, and so if you put in a specific like key combination, the door will open in the game. And that's a game that came out like a couple years ago.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Nice.
It's a great game.
They got some really cool secrets.
I haven't played Horizon, so I can't really comment, but it's a gorgeous looking game. It's probably graphically one of the most beautiful games to come out in the last 10 years. Both of them. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Well, speaking of that, Darria, it's your turn.
So, your videos have some really high quality cinematography. What is your history with video production?
Oh, I don't know. I grew up, I guess I don't really have much of a history. Well, maybe I do. I had a flip video recorder, like a USB one when I was a kid. And my buddy lived down the street. We liked making videos for a while. That's actually the same guy who helped me start my channel initially, because I didn't have equipment. His dad had worked in like doing online video type stuff back in like the early 2000s. And so I just kind of saw what he was doing, and I knew that I had to do something. I mean, I could identify problems when I was getting back into it, like, man, there's shadows everywhere, or like, this is really hard, or like, it's just kind of like, man, is my hair like that dark? Or like, I didn't understand. Like, you kind of figure out the 3-point lighting stuff. You figure out what soft and hard light is and when to use it. And learning about a camera, I guess I had experience from doing... I took 3 years in high school. My elective was communication technology. And so it was like using Adobe Photoshop and Illustrator, but every now and then they'd send us out with a camera. And so we like had to take like a little multiple choice test about like what's aperture and, you know, like shutter speed. And so I was like, I had to actually relearn that stuff. I wasn't really into it. But I am definitely a tinkerer. And so I just kind of tinker on things, and I was previously a gear person for music. So the reason my name was even Shredder was because in 7th grade, that was my main thing. I liked shredding on guitar. I was, it's like my original username. I never changed it.
This is great.
That's awesome.
But
it works, right?
I mean, it works just because there's no one else. It's never taken. There's not another HPRshredder out there. But
for the longest time, I thought it was HP Shredder, like hit point.
Well, no, people thought it was like just like the Hewlett Packard like paper shredder, you know, like
That's great.
but yeah, no, there's lots of jokes too. I was watching a friend's stream the other day. He was streaming Mega Man, I don't know, whatever the one, Battle Network, maybe. There's lots of like HP this, HP that. They were making jokes. It was fun. But yeah, audio video history, that's what I'm talking about. I just learned by watching videos and just kind of figuring it out. I guess the first main issue I had after I finally got all the gear and I finally tried to shoot my first episode of this was like, first of all, the camera, I was like, wow, dang, all right, the money, I can see the money there, but the audio was terrible. It was so bad, and I had bought a shotgun mic, but I didn't have a sound treated room. It was just bouncing off the walls, and I had spent hours in the editing software trying to fix it, and I was like, man, this is, you know, I was sunk cost fallacy and everything, but I was like, I'm gonna sink myself a little further first. And so I went ahead and I bought this and like a audio interface, and it fixed everything for me. And after that, from like the third episode on of the fourth episode on of like my series, it helped a ton. But yeah, I've been slowly improving every video, and the main goal is, I guess, I'm just kind of like racing against myself because I'm really slow. First of all, putting out content. It's like I'm at an average now of 5 months between episodes because it takes me a really long time to get right. I guess that's another thing. Like, if you have infinite time, maybe you can make anything look good. I'm not really on a clock because, you know, I have a full-time job and everything, and but just trying to get a little bit better. I do feel faster than I used to be, but I am pretty slow. Yeah.
So what does your current setup look like? Like, what do you use?
Oh yeah. Well, above me, I've got a flat rolling panel light. So it's like, I could maybe even adjust that. Maybe I'll zoom out just slightly. No, you can't see it. You can just see the kid toys and stuff. It's like, basically I started with two kind of panel lights, and they had built-in diffusion. So it was like really easy for beginners, and it was kind of giving you a nice soft light to work with, because there's kind of a whole first section of cheap gear I bought, and I still have it, but it's garbage. You can't resell really cheap garbage, and it looks terrible. And it was running off of like literally only AA batteries, and it took like 10. I was like, this is a mistake. But now the nicest things I have, I've got the Fujifilm camera. I went with the X-T3 back in 2019, and it's still doing well for me. I have the lens is a 16 to 55 millimeter f2.8 like zoom lens, and it's specifically pretty decent for a sharp video, but it's not the best for photography. I didn't get the kit lens. I bought them separate, and I've got a few nice lights. I've got like a light doing the Amaran P60C in the background is kind of changing the light. I can even change that with my phone, which is super convenient. That's a newer edition. And then I've got another Amaran light that's refracting light off the wall to act as kind of like a fake key light, and that's the 300C. That's like my first point, single point light, because everything else to this point had been panels. And I'm still kind of learning how to use that, but yeah.
Well, that's awesome. It looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you. And then I guess the games is another part. I've got modded systems. So my my Famicom's over there, and I have it modded with an HDMI out. And
nice.
Yeah, like that's the easiest thing. I do have a few FPGA systems, but I haven't used them. I think the original stuff is just more fun to film. So
I agree.
But thank you so much. I appreciate that you like the way that it looks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Jess, you're up.
Yeah, so in addition to your videos looking amazing, the writing is also really solid. Are all of your videos strictly scripted, or do you do any kind of like improv off the cuff stuff?
Yeah, scripting is new for me. It was a lot of off the cuff stuff. I had shifted probably around halfway through season 2 to having scripts, and it was mainly because I kept forgetting like to talk about certain things that were important to me. I basically just set it up. I plug in the camera to the external recorder, and that's probably the most important piece of my entire setup actually. I have a Ninja 5 and I use it for gameplay and I use it for recording from my camera because otherwise it would overheat, and there's like a 15-minute timer, and the codec it records to an SD card is not as good. So that's actually the biggest cheat code, is that I use an external recorder for gameplay and for like my camera. But yeah, so I plug it into that and I basically film like for like an hour and a half. And I do have a script now, but it's more of a guideline. And I just kind of riff off of that to try and sound natural because I don't have a teleprompter. So I'll just kind of look, and because I can always tell when people are reading, you know, like when there's that slight eye movement when they're reading a teleprompter, and it bothers me. So I try to avoid using that and just look, and I'll like read it. I print it out on printer paper and I like will read what I said, and then I'll say it, and it often comes out different. So because I'm not trying to memorize it, I'm trying to just kind of get in that zone. And I think it sounds more like a YouTube video when it's more unscripted sounding. And it's easy to do that if you're not remembering your lines. So.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some nice lines thrown out.
Get in that flow state, right?
Sure. So I mentioned this a minute ago, but one cool thing that you mentioned in your reviews is that you didn't grow up playing many of these games that you're reviewing and providing this fresh take. What made you go to the Famicom and play these games?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked this question because there's an actual definitive answer. And it's because I would lie on the internet and I would say that Super Mario World was definitely better than Super Mario Bros. 3. And like, how could anyone play that old crusty garbage? It looks bad. Super Mario World's beautiful. Just listen to the music. And then one day on my friend's Wii, he had Super Mario Bros. 3 downloaded. For the summer, I had an internship with the Red Cross. This was in college. So, and I like moved to work there for a summer, and I just played Super Mario Bros. 3 and I was like, uh-oh. You know, like I think I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I think I actually prefer this game. And it was so good. And I would think about it, you know, when I wasn't playing it. I was just like, all the things that it did so well. And it kind of made me wonder, like, what else am I missing out on? Now, for the series, it was also the NES Classic Edition that came, but like that I had mentioned earlier. But I decided I was going to do things kind of in order, but not based on any specific criteria. And so I was looking at things like, I started with like, what series are really big? Okay, like Final Fantasy, Mega Man. I haven't even made it to either of those yet. But
Oh man.
I was just started listing the series, and I'm like, how many are on the NES? And I was like, wow, there's a lot actually. For all of these, there's 3 Final Fantasies, there's 4 Dragon Quest games, there's 6 Mega Man games.
You're in for a treat with Mega Man.
I'm looking forward to it. It's the first episode of the next season. The only problem is that it's $300 for the complete in box version, maybe even more now. But that's the thing. I sell the games actually because I can't afford that. I sell them after I record them. I'm trying to remember where I even started. What was the question?
What made you go to the Famicom?
Yeah, I chose the Famicom because Atari games were just a little bit too primitive. I had a few plug and play consoles as a kid, and they had some Namco games, some Atari games, and I enjoyed them. And I even played the 2600 for the first time just a few weeks ago, and I was actually pretty surprised because it felt a lot tighter than those emulated plug and play consoles from before. It's actually a 7200. Is that
7800.
7800. And I was like, man, this is pretty cool. Maybe I'll get one. I'll look into if there's any like 7,800 games, and there's like 50. And apparently they're all terrible.
They're not good. They're not good.
7,800, not to go down a rabbit hole, but it has a very wild history.
Yeah. All the Atari stuff seems really messed up. They seem like they didn't really run their company very well.
No, they did not.
But yeah, that was just the NES. Seemed like there were so many franchises that got their start on it, and so it just seemed like a natural starting point for me. Not that I couldn't go back if I wanted to, but it seemed about as old as I could bear, And then I found out that actually I really enjoy it. So
that's awesome. I'm glad that you found out that you enjoy it. I've come to realize I think it's my favorite console. I've kind of gone back and forth through a bunch of different ones, but that was the one that really started my gaming history. And it just always, I love the way the games look, for one thing. I love the art style, the way that the pixels come through, especially on a CRT. And then I love the manual artwork and the box artwork of that period, like just everything, and the music, kind of how everything, you mentioned it, I think, in one of your videos, but kind of how they're starting to discover game design. Like there's no real rules yet for design. So
it's
every
like the
game,
Wild West.
Yeah. So every game is like trying to figure out exactly how to do that genre. And there's something about that that's just really appealing to me, that it's not quite, now there's a lot of great games that come out now, but they kind of go along with what's been established in a lot time.
Yeah,
There's kind of a road that's been paved.
It's really interesting to see a lot of the abandoned conventions too, as time has gone on. And it's fun too, because I feel like if you're an indie developer out there, you just play some NES games. Like there are so many ideas that were like not just so close to working out. Like you could every game I've played has so many ideas that are so close to being there. And they're not really here today. And so like you could just go back and experiment and explore.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Hey, there's something to be said about just necessity is the mother of invention. Like they had so many limitations with the original hardware.
Yep.
That they had to be creative. They had to come up with stuff, trying to figure out what worked.
Yeah, the constraints always kind of bring out this. It kind of makes it feel more artistic sometimes too. When you have so little to work with, and you somehow bring out this like shining gem. Sometimes there's a lot of bad games.
There are a lot of bad
Have you played
games.
Raid 2020 yet?
No. Yeah, I mean, there's an entire eon of YouTube and internet video that was dedicated to just talking about how bad they even were.
Yeah,
so
there's some bad ones. But
actually,
the great ones,
the one it started with. Yeah. Simon's Quest.
Simon's Quest. All right.
Sorry, I cleaned my desk. I have a stack of games. I didn't do that on purpose. It's just
that's great. I love seeing them.
Props are welcome.
Yeah, I love all the artwork from that period is just my favorite. It's really great in the 16-bit period too, but I love the NES, everything. I wish I had more of my boxes, but
there's a few comments in the chat from Fenris actually.
All right, questions. Logan, hit us up.
Yeah, so Fenris asks, "Ichijumai Famicom, you say? Is it Navy Famicom with the high def NES?"
A Navy Famicom?
Yeah, an AV Famicom.
Oh, it is. Yeah, it's an AV Famicom. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If I could do it over, I think I would go with the Sharp Twin Famicom just because it looks amazing. There's this one that it's like black and it has this big teal button to turn it on, and it just looks really, really nice. But I'm happy with the one I went with. It's basically, it looks like the top loader NES. Yeah.
Nice.
That's the one I use too. I've got an AV Famicom RGB modded.
Modded. Yeah, RGB. It's perfect as long as you have the. There's so many options now. Actually,
I have the RetroTink 4K, and I love it.
I wish I had one. They're so nice.
It's really good. It's like it's my favorite thing in all of gaming right now.
Yeah,
it's fabulous. But all right,
then
Jack.
Fenris also asks,
Go ahead.
Have you considered doing Super Famicom as well?
Yes. Yeah. No. The plan. I didn't think it would take 5 minutes or 5 months between videos. In fact, originally I was thinking it was gonna. I thought I would already be like I'd have brushed past the Genesis. I would have had PC Engine under my belt. I would have been like halfway through the library of the Super Nintendo. I thought I was gonna have weekly videos. which is just funny to think about now because I'm really bad at estimating how long it's going to take me to do something. So that's part of it. And you know, something funny too. I thought originally I was gonna, you know what? I'm gonna paint the thumbnails. Each one's gonna be a painting. I have one. I started the second one. I was like, this isn't gonna work. This is way too much work. And then after that, I was like, I don't know. When you have ideas, you kind of let them balloon out of proportion and way beyond any reasonable scope in your head. And so you kind of have to like scope down a little bit.
Yeah.
Speaking of limitations, right?
I plan to get there eventually is the answer though. It's just going to take me a long time. Maybe when I'm like 60.
Well, it's nice that you don't compromise on the videos. I mean, they're all like very well edited. They except for that one you were mentioning, they don't seem like they're unfinished. They all seem very polished.
The first 5 episodes or 6 episodes, really, they're like kind of not canon to me anymore. I feel like 7 and onward is it. Like 7 is the Zelda episode. That's the first one where I feel like I figured out what I was actually doing. Because like I did think that I was going to do them weekly before, but it's because I had a way more loose idea in my head, and I just kind of got a little lost in the sauce in terms of like the editing and the filming, and yeah, it became fun. It became like a hobby, really. So.
That was the one that I discovered your channel on, was the Legend of Zelda retrospective for NES and Famicom, and it wasn't terribly old when I discovered it, but I have like an iPad, and when I exercise I watch YouTube videos, and it literally I love Zelda, so it just it came up, and then I just kind of watched all of them gradually. So
awesome. Love to hear that. Yeah,
for sure.
Got a couple other comments from Fenris. I'll read real quick because they pertain to the topic we were talking about.
Yeah.
So you said we're looking at a different kind of Famicom. Fenris says you're referring to the Turbo Twin, and you can't HDMI mod those due to the fact that there's no space for the kit.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So
Fenris is a modder, so he knows his
I
stuff.
still want to get one.
Yeah.
But
they do look really cool.
If you could, HDMI kits are no longer made due to the parts going end of life, and nobody's taken up the mantle to make more.
Oh, I didn't realize that they were rare these days.
Yeah. So it's cool that you have one.
Yeah, cool. All right. I mean, it's I always wanted the analog NT Mini or like those systems, and I could just never get my hands on one because they were already all sold out. Kind of like the NES Mini. So this was more of a compromise actually.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Jack.
Yeah. So, what's the last game you rolled credits on?
Let me think. I feel like I did recently, but I'm having trouble remembering. I actually saw the credits. I don't know. I do finish games typically, but like this past like year has been a weird one. I've replayed old games and seen the credits again, but in terms of like the last game that I played that was like new, that I don't know, it couldn't have been. That's not counting Retro Odyssey stuff. Wait, no,
Sure.
Actually, it would have been Super Mario Bros. 2.
Okay.
Because I'm not doing a video for that one. I ended up streaming it a few weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now. And I had just made a video on Doki Doki Panic. And so I wanted to kind of get an experience of like, well, what was Super Mario Bros. 2? I might be the first person in the West that played that game first, Doki Doki Panic.
I was wondering that when I watched your video, actually.
Yeah. I never mentioned 2.
I loved Super Mario Brothers 2 growing up. I remember reading magazines leading up to it coming out and thinking that it was like in Watermelon World because everything looked like green and all that. And then I remember it coming out and everyone was so disappointed that it wasn't like the other Mario games. But it's always been one of my favorites. So it was cool to see your deep dive into Doki Doki Panic.
Yeah, it was a fun game to play. Beating it 4 times got a little old at times.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad that they
you have
changed
to,
that.
yeah.
I'm glad that they changed that because in that one you have to beat it with each character.
Oh.
Yeah, the whole game. Like you can use skips and stuff, but I wanted to see everything. So, it was a good game. I was
you
really
can't
happy
run.
with that video.
You can't
No,
run
you
too.
can't. Well, actually, it's funny playing. Yeah, you can't sprint. I think the game not sprinting makes it a little bit easier, actually.
I can see that.
Because when I was playing it, I feel like sprinting was just leading to more death and destruction, and like I was just running to my doom, really. And the game was designed without sprinting. So
true.
all of the jumps and everything, you can make them perfectly fine without doing it. It came, I would only use it in a pinch when I played through actual Super Mario Bros. 2.
I run to my doom frequently in that game. But
I think of that as the Spelunky problem.
It's hard game too. Like it's not that easy, especially your first time playing. I feel like you'll die a ton playing Super. And the fact that it makes the lives system, the gambling game that's built in, the slot machine, it really will have you on the edge of your seat because it's like this is pretty much determining whether or not I'm going to beat the game or have to completely start over. If you're not using save states, I guess.
Yeah,
but.
once you get to like World 5 and the coins get a little bit tougher to find, you just start to get really, really nervous when you get like below 4 lives. Like, oh god,
I was pogging out on that stream because I got 2 5-ups in a row.
Nice.
Which was crazy, like because I kind of learned the timing and Doki Doki Panic, but it's a little bit different. And I don't know, that was just crazy. Getting the cherries, 3 rows of cherries in a row. One of the highlights of like my gaming life, honestly.
that was pretty cool. It's really hard to do that. But
Awesome. That's really cool.
No, it's nice to see that you like Super Mario Brothers 2 because it's always been favorite. But
Won't be doing a video on it, but yeah.
or Doki Doki Panic even.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. All right, Logan.
Yeah. So real quick, I've got another comment I want to read from Johnny Graphics. Side note, I finally saw Darria's cat for a second. Yay.
Yeah, there's 3 of them. So Milo was the one that was like just hopping up and down here. So George is the
Nice.
orange one, and
Should have
then
achievement
Rhaegal
pop up
is the very
for that.
fluffy one.
By the way, speaking of achievements, I hate to do this, but if you click like and subscribe, it'll pop up. It'll pop up in the center. That's even better. Yeah, but if you do it, if you have your privacy set to allow people to see who you're subscribed to, it'll pop up right here in the center. So make it pop up. It'll play the little song. Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, so in your opinion, why are classic and retro games just as compelling as modern games?
Oh, well, they feel fresher, for one, which is ironic. I think the industry's in a really terrible place right now. I mean, like, everyone's being asked to make the same game, and when the same game doesn't work out, they lay everyone off, and like, it feels like there's maybe a couple of winners each year from the AAA industry, and everything else is like a halfway, did just good enough, or a failure. And the indie scene seems to be like where you're getting all of the original ideas and the creativity, and it's getting easier and easier to develop an indie game. And so, like, I have a lot of hope there. I don't have a lot of hope for the AAA industry, but then the thing is, you have this endless backlog of amazing games that are already out, and a lot of them like play better and will kind of leave you feeling more inspired after. Like when you beat an NES game or any old game, when you, like, I beat Donkey Kong Country the other day, like when you beat an old game, you're just like, oh yeah, you know, I beat a game. And they're not too long typically, and sometimes they are. Like Dragon Quest 2 took me like maybe 25-30 hours. I can't remember exactly, but they're not too long, but they're built to be beaten. They're not built to sell you something at the end.
That's nice.
So it's I don't know. I love old games. And they're like literally when you're playing on the original hardware, the latency. They literally feel better sometimes to play if you're playing on like a CRT or if you're playing on a really nice monitor with an HDMI setup that's high speed. It's just so tight. Like, and when you play something like The Witcher 3, a game I don't really appreciate very much, you like have to turn on, like you start moving in a direction and it's like, okay, now we got to turn it. We got to make it look cinematic. I hate over the shoulder looks typically. I like when my character's in the center of the screen. I don't know. I don't know. I'm ranting and rambling, so I'll stop.
No, I feel you there too. I mean, I love all games, but I really noticed when I hooked up my original systems again a few years ago, because I have them all, like the ones that I grew up with, and hooking them up again on a CRT, and then with the retro tank as well. Like it is amazing how well those games play, and they're all in like 60 frames a second. They
feel snappy.
99% of them. Yeah, they do. Yeah. They just feel great. The gameplay is great. It's also like the physics and everything, as even if they're simplistic, they all feel really, really great. So, and even a few generations ago, Jack and I and maybe others were talking about a few weeks ago how good the sound was on the original Xbox.
Oh yeah, I love the Xbox.
Yeah, the original Xbox had such great sound in all regards, and I was playing it and then comparing it to the more recent stuff, and it's not as good, which surprised me. You'd think with technology it would improve, but
you have a Series X,
yes.
Or are you just playing on Game Pass? Yeah, I have a Series X as well, and it's sad that they lost their soul. It feels like that. It's just a box.
Yeah,
I still like
everything's an X. This is an Xbox right here.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking to you on an Xbox right now. That ad campaign was amazing.
Because if everything's an Xbox, nothing's an Xbox.
Yeah, it's funny because the original Xbox, by the new definition, is no longer an Xbox.
I know. Yeah. It's lost. But that first Xbox, and I didn't like it at the time because didn't like Microsoft entering. But looking back on it, with unbiased eyes, really was some great hardware, and everything about it was extraordinarily well done.
You see, I was maybe 10 when it came out, so it was over for me. I mean, the teen marketing had sucked me in.
Oh, the marketing was amazing.
I was only Xbox as a preteen and teenager because it was specifically geared towards capturing me. So
yeah. And it did.
It took me a while to kind of break free of that, and that's when I fell in love with games again.
Nice. We finished up Logan's question, right? Before we head on to Darria. Okay, I don't want to skip anybody. I skipped Darria once, and I'll never live it down. So I want to make sure we got all the way through it. All right, Darria, you're up.
Awesome. So what do you think is really special about this Famicom specifically?
Well, it's partially just the time that it came to be. People talk about the quote-unquote video game crash, and I wasn't there, but I imagine it was people aren't going to stop playing games, though. Maybe the market crashed and fell under, and a lot of companies had to fold, but it was kind of there at that perfect time where they came out with this new thing, and it kind of did just enough, and then the developers they had behind the wheel were pumping out some really incredible games, even early on, that was kind of blowing people's minds. Like the original Super Mario Bros. Comes out. I mean, even games like Balloon Fight, they're super tight controlling. They just feel different when it's the way that the little balloon fight guy moves on you can just feel the physics of it more than it's less choppy. It kind of it provided the base level of power needed to deliver full on home gaming experiences. It's you're seeing your first console at home RPGs come out. You had them on PC, but it really wasn't the same, and it was really good at scrolling too. I've watched a lot of MSX games, a friend of mine play them. The scrolling is really rough. The system itself isn't not capable. It's just you forget that some things excel at vertical, some things excel at horizontal scrolling. This excelled at horizontal scrolling, which turns out to be more important overall, I think. And then later, with the chips that they could add to the cartridges, you had things like Super Mario Bros. 3, which could do both. And even like Super Mario Bros. 2 could do both. But that was kind of a marvel, like a technological marvel at the time, which is funny to think about. It's just a special system. It had a lot of special people that worked on the games. Like Iwata is one of my favorite people that ever existed in the gaming industry. And
You said Iwata?
Yeah, yeah.
That's
and he was
cool.
very involved early on in like working on ports for things for the Famicom, because he was super familiar with the chip that they decided to go with for the Famicom. And
I literally bumped into him once.
Really?
At E3, I think it was 04. But I, for some reason, left the show floor to go do something, and then I was coming back, and he was leaving, and I literally, like, I didn't, like, actually physically touch him, but it was pretty close, because he was coming pretty fast, and I was going pretty fast. And that was, like, my prime Japanese time, because I took Japanese in college. Very
There you
rusty
go.
now.
Yeah.
But, like, at the time, it was, like, that was, like, the best moment I could have run into him. And I actually
Yeah.
spoke to him in Japanese for a little bit, which was really cool.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
He was really
We're coming up on
surprised.
10 years
I know.
next month.
I know. That is, oh, wow. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it was July 15th or 17th or something.
Yeah.
Crazy that it's been a decade.
Yeah, he was an awesome dude, for sure.
He was, yeah.
All throughout his career.
But yeah, I guess to finish the question, it's the people and the timing and the hardware. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I agree. And Jess.
Yeah, so what has been some of the biggest surprises for the games that you've played for your channel?
The biggest surprises. I think that I ended up liking so many of them. I kind of like, I said it earlier, I expected to kind of blow past the NES. And when I started to kind of fall in love with it, it was just like, okay, I really like these games. I didn't expect to. Honestly, I didn't. Because I had kind of tried some on emulators before, and it's just a totally different feeling having an actual system and an actual cartridge, and you put it in, it's like magic. It's like electricity is just kind of coursing through it, and it's just like, I don't even know how this works. This is crazy. Modern games you could still call magic, but it's just not the same. Like you look at some of this stuff, and it's just like, I can't believe this still works because it's ancient.
Yeah.
And no one uses it. It's like, it feels like a very special thing. So,
Yeah.
I
get that.
Yeah.
There's like a lot of just older, kind of comes back to the technology itself, even like describing old games and how they were exploring different experimental like gameplay, but even like the technology itself, they were still figuring it out. So it's all just new
It was like
and
a
interesting.
miracle that it even worked at all. Yeah. That's the biggest surprise to me.
It's pretty
I
amazing.
thought that they would be, I thought I'd be kind of like, yeah, this is pretty good in this way, but that wasn't it at all. It was like, I like it just as much as modern games.
Yeah, you replace the capacitors on those things, they'll pretty much last forever. I mean,
Yeah.
I got my Xbox capacitor, original Xbox capacitor replaced just after it exploded. So it was in time. The clock one,
Yeah, the original Xbox, it has that. I saw a meme
Time
about
bomb.
that just the other day. Where it's like, I've got my whole life ahead of me. It's like, no, you don't. The like whatever it had a picture is gonna ooze all over everything, all over the motherboard. Terrible.
Yeah, it literally had just done it. So the SNES, by the way, if you're out there, anybody, also you need to start changing those. Those are starting to ooze as well.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had Voltar on a few weeks ago. He's pretty big on that, but I had sent mine in to him because he has the edge enhancer for the SNES, which makes it look amazing, but he also replaces all the capacitors and cleans it and everything. And he sent me a picture of mine, and it had started, my childhood SNES had started to corrode. So
What is the edge enhancer?
oh, you got to check it out. So depending on which SNES you have, there's the one chip models, which are sharp out of the box, but they have a little bit of issue with being too bright, and they also have a couple problems in some of the games. If you have the original 2-chip SNES, like the original run of them, it has an issue. It's really kind of complicated, but it basically has to do with the fact there was an error in the video chips where not all the colors were completely lined up correctly. And Voltar would explain this much better than me, but as a basic thing, it basically just makes it fuzzy. So even if you're going through RGB or HDMI or whatever on your SNES, it's going to be blurry. And his edge enhancer basically fixed the problem on the original SNES, which is really amazing.
Okay.
We had him on a few episodes ago, and he really went into describing kind of how he fixed it and everything, but it's a pretty amazing. I actually was the first one to get one because I was watching his Twitter like a hawk.
Okay. Do you mind if I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Okay. You had this show way back.
Yeah.
I was wondering, when did you decide to kind of revive it? And then also, like, how do you guys all know each other?
Oh, that's great. I love it. Turning it back around on us. So it's really Logan and Darria's fault to begin with, because we're working, and Jess is now on board as well on the project. But they are making a documentary about the game show. And so they interviewed me, and they also interviewed Jack, and then another one of our hosts who couldn't be here tonight, who was on the original run. And it really made me realize how much I missed doing it, and miss, talking to Jack, and miss talking to, Maul, and just doing this and really like talking about games. And I just happened to be hanging out with Jack for the first time in like a billion years, around this time. And I really sounds crazy, but I wasn't meaning to restart the show when we decided to hang out, but it just was perfect timing. And like a couple minutes into hanging out, I was like, hey, so I might be doing the show again. You want to do it? And he's like, yep. He was pretty quick. Yeah. Is it pretty quick? Yeah. So really quick, I'll go through how I met people, and then everyone else can chime in with their part of the story. I met Jack in 2002 in college, my freshman very first semester, because he was playing a GBA, sitting on the floor in one of the halls, and I was like, he was the only one playing GBA, he's like my kind of person, because he must like games as much as me. And I was right. Darria and Jess are both, I'm a professor as well, and they're both former students of mine, so I met them in class. And then Logan is a friend of one of my former students, who's I'm actually working on a feature film at the moment. And Logan came on as associate producer with Jess, and Darria are also associate producers on the project. So that's my spiel. So Jack, you want to chime in, and then we'll go down the road.
I mean, you kind of put it pretty well. I was
sorry, I mean to steal your thunder.
No, you're fine, man. No, we just met in our Japanese class in college, and just kind of found out each other really liked video games.
And that's before it was cool. So
it was
not cool. No, it was not cool at the time.
It was not cool at all. Yeah. Something shifted in like 2013, and suddenly anime and all that stuff was cool. And I was like, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, no, so we just kind of hit it off, and yeah, we started doing this 2003? Right?
See, the very first show was September 28th, 2002. Okay. You joined in 2003, April-ish, May-ish.
Yeah. Yep. And so yeah, I did it for 2 years, maybe
2.5 years. Yep.
Yeah.
Then I kind of kept doing it, and various hosts came in and out. And Logan and Darria and Jess will have the full story shortly. Logan, how'd you jump on board this train?
So the friend in question that Matt mentioned was Aiden, who is a student, and I've known Aiden since high school, and he just kept telling me, you gotta meet Matt, you gotta meet Matt, you gotta meet Matt. And I had
kept telling me the same thing about you.
Oh yeah. He's really good.
He really
at that.
wanted you to be friends.
He did. He really did.
Yeah. And I think it's because we had a lot of similar interests. Like now I'm into filmmaking because I really like being on sets. But I came from game design. I have a degree in game design. And around the time I was switching to filmmaking was when Matt started this feature. And I just was like, yeah, I want to get involved in a feature film. And so I hopped in as associate producer. I think I'm also VFX consulting.
Yeah,
as
you
well.
are. You are. I'm sorry,
Yes.
I didn't mention all your credits.
Yes.
My bad.
Got to make some snow happen in the middle of summer.
Yeah,
Which will be fun.
make it snow.
Yeah, and things just kind of took off from there.
And Darria.
All right.
So I first met Matt when I don't think you were. I can't remember if you were
I wasn't yet.
fully a professor yet. Yeah.
Mm-mm.
But you came to was it BAD for one of the?
Yeah, I just kind of heard you guys were making a movie, and I was kind of thinking about maybe becoming faculty there, and I wanted to see how you guys kind of how serious you were about filmmaking, and I don't know, I just wanted to observe first before I dove in.
I was acting in that project, along with some of the other like actual like filmmaking students, because I double majored in like in theater and in mass media, focusing on film and video. So I did this stuff like acting and the technical side.
She's a
of things.
really good actress. If anyone needs actresses.
But that's when I initially met Matt, and then when he became a professor, I was like, I want to make sure I have him for all my classes because I'm actually learning things from him. And he's been my film mentor, like just like mentor ever since.
Awesome.
And she lived with us for like 6 months,
I did.
which was fun. The kids love her.
Yeah.
And Jess.
I love them.
I mean, Matt, you really kind of altered the entire track of my life because I
geez,
decided
sorry.
to go back to.
Now you know who to blame if things go wrong.
Well, truly.
Yeah.
You know, I tell them all the time, every time I have something new going on, I'm like, this is your fault. Just so you know. But I decided to go back to college after the whole COVID thing hit, and I wanted to change the direction of my life. And I was actually a journalism concentration. And I had Matt for like the intro class, and he started talking about film. And you also, I don't know if I've ever told you this either, but you also mentioned like the video game stuff that you had done, and you showed one of the videos from Padinga. And I remember that was
Gaming
the moment
versus
of when I was-
marriage.
And I was sitting there in class being like, oh my God, I watched that when it came out.
Oh, are you serious?
We actually
That's
talked
serious.
about this at our last, like one of our last meetings.
Oh, that's crazy.
Let's stop
No,
meeting.
no, I should repost those. Those were a lot of fun, and they were pretty. We actually got written up and wired on that video.
So that was like a really crazy moment. That was before like I knew you at all, and I was like, how is he here teaching?
Oh well, now you know the story behind that too.
Yes, I know. But yeah, then I switched to film not long after and got on Matt's feature that he's working on, and then jumped on here, and the rest is kind of history.
So like, I just kind of pull my best students, like the ones that are really, really good. That's pretty much, yeah. And friends of theirs. Sorry, Logan.
Yeah. I'm happy to be friend of a student.
Yeah, yeah. Very good. Cool.
And you're at Kansas?
Yeah, I lived in LA for 7 years and worked in Hollywood. I worked for his producer Fred Roos, but yeah, then came back here for family reasons, and there's the whole thing. It's part of what my movie's about too. But
Okay. It's hard making a movie.
it is hard making a
It's
movie.
a lot of work. It's
It is a
of work.
lot of work, but
I know a few people who have made indie movies now, and it's a lot. It's a huge investment.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
But
I
we're
was just
doing it.
working on a short for
Yeah.
like the past year and a half, and that was a sprint.
Yeah.
Hell, it's a lot
It's-
of work just doing a YouTube video. So
Yep. It's equal parts terror and excitement at the same time. It's like always terrifying but also exciting. So you have to be able to enjoy the joy of it, and then kind of be like, okay, it's also going to be terrifying.
yeah.
One of the reasons, like, I like, 'cause my background before I went into like the theater or the arts or anything like that was in science, and I'm like, well, I had so many different interests. Like, I loved like earth science and space science, and I was just like, acting in film is my way to kind of do and be everything. So that's kind of like, I could explore any topic that I wanted to. I could like play the role of an astronaut if I wanted to. Like,
it has a higher ceiling.
so,
Yeah.
because there's also like research that you get, like you're learning about the contexts in which a lot of these stories take place.
Mhm.
And so that's one of the big things that like appeals to me.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, this is fun. We got to talk about this. If you are interested in no, it's cool. If you're interested in the backstory, Logan, Darria, and Jess are directing a documentary based on this subject. And I assume they'll have a
So
trailer
that's
out
separate from the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I'd love to see that. I can't wait.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be cool. And the movie is eyesopenmovie.com if anyone wants to check out
Okay.
there's like a little what we're doing video that everyone that's working on it is interviewed in. So
I have one quick question for, is it Logan?
yes, go ahead.
Okay, I can't see because my face is over your name, so I just wanted to make sure. You mentioned, yeah,
As
you
it should
mentioned, yeah, you mentioned you started. I think it's funny everyone had stories about. Yeah, I started doing this thing and then I pivoted. Like I also am a pivoter myself. But you mentioned you were in game design first. You got your degree in game design.
Yes.
Do you mind me asking like where you were at for that? Because I was briefly at a game design school myself before dropping out.
Okay, so I was at Wichita State University,
Right.
which they have a multidisciplinary digital art school there, which made the pivot to film actually really easy because I was just able
That's
to
nice.
start hopping on
Yeah.
film projects at the same school. But yeah, they had a lot of great resources there for letting you work on games. And it was very collaborative, lots of teams doing various things that I could take part in. And yeah, and I'm still using a lot of those skills today in my film. That's why I'm into VFX, because I've taken a lot of like the artistic side of things that I learned doing games and I'm applying it to filmmaking. Like the film, the short film that I mentioned doing, all of the VFX was animated in Unreal Engine.
Oh,
Everything.
it's a helpful tool.
Oh yeah, Unreal Engine's so
Yeah.
versatile at this
I
point.
mean, they use it in productions nowadays. They used it in the latest Game of Thrones, or what was it, the House of the Dragon? They used Unreal for some of the stuff that they cast
Yep.
up on that big screen. So.
Mandalorian.
Yep. That was the really first big one that made the jump. They were like, yeah, we could use this to create a world and put it on the screen. And that changed the game.
Yeah, something that would react in real time.
For sure.
But I still love games, and it's still a hobby to work on games and make them. I just really enjoy the interactivity of being on set and wanted more of that.
It's fun.
It's two flavors of the same thing. I mean, really.
Yeah, it's all creativity.
I really, that's something that I try to instill a little bit, is that like, if you're going to be a creative person, you can't completely confine yourself to one medium. You have to be able a little bit to kind of straddle those lines and to be able to pursue where your interests lie. Because you may start one place and you may, I mean, look at Hideo Kojima. I mean, he wanted to be a filmmaker. And he, makes lots of. Miyamoto wanted to make children's toys, and then he's one of the best game designers ever. So a lot of times
He's an interesting guy.
He's a super interesting. I get to teach a video game class, which is a lot of fun, and I talk a lot. Jess took it. I talk a lot about Miyamoto. Learned a lot about him. Actually, even more, because I used to talk about a lot, as Jack knows, in the first run of the show.
Oh yeah, no, there was a lot of Miyamoto.
There was a lot of Miyamoto. I've kept it a little less Miyamoto this time around. So, it's been hard. But anyway, yeah, he's a lot of those designers are interesting. I mean, any of them that are really established are interesting people.
Even Nintendo as a company, like the vision to hire people like that to make your games, because they're all artists, they're multidisciplinary, they came from different backgrounds, and like that's part of what made their games stand out so much, is they weren't just programmers, they had a whole separate team for that,
and they were the first company to do that too, which was really, really cool to actually have like a designer So it's pretty interesting. Basically, the entire what we have as a game industry kind of restarted there with the Famicom. So very, very cool. Logan, you haven't hit up the chat for a little bit. Looks like we got some messages. Why don't you?
Yes. So biggest one, we got a new subscriber, Sakina.
Well, yeah. Oh yeah.
So Sakina says, "Hello, I liked and subscribed. Nice to discover a new podcast. Question for HPR: which game for Retro Odyssey do you think has the best music track so far?"
Oh man. It's probably between the first Castlevania and the first Metroid so far. I mean, I've heard music that comes later. You know, spoiler alert, it's hard to not be spoiled on 40-year-old games, but I've heard some amazing tracks in the future, but those are games that have just, I mean, Castlevania front to back is just delightful.
It's just
every
ridiculous.
Track is such a banger.
Castlevania 3 is
that's such. I still remember. Oh, I'm sorry, Jack. I just talked to her. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying Castlevania 3 is like an all-timer for me.
I haven't hit that one yet, but I know the special chip that they threw in there on the Famicom version. I'm looking forward to experiencing that.
I still remember the first time I played Castlevania, the original. We rented it, and it had just become available at that rental place, and we played. It had such an ambiance to it. I mean, like for an NES game, just popping it in and hearing that music, and we were all kind of sitting there in the dark, like playing it, and it was just. I mean, it might as well have been photorealistic, like for us, like how crazy
Metroid
it was.
has that atmosphere too.
Yeah, it does.
It's very strong in the atmosphere, but that first, not Simon's Quest. Simon's Quest also has a vibe for sure.
And it has some great music too. Like
some of my favorite actually comes from Simon's Quest, and I do like Simon's Quest. I think it's a nostalgia thing, probably.
Yeah,
but I do like that game.
But yeah, that first Castlevania is something special. I think like if I were to recommend a game for anyone to play is their first NES or Famicom game, I'd say you should play that game. Because I think if you can make it through that game, you'll get it. Like it kind of unlocks things. It's so tight and compact and challenging, and it makes you feel like it's impossible at times. And then you realize that it wasn't. And like now you can do it every time. And so it kind of is just like everything good about NES games kind of in one package.
Yeah.
I would wholeheartly agree with.
Yeah, great answer. Looks like Fenris also offered to recap people's consoles.
I'm not surprised.
He's a really great modder.
He's a great modder.
Yeah. So if you need some recapping,
I was thinking about getting a Sega Master System, the Mark III, the Japanese one. Maybe he can help me mod that.
Oh, cool. Does that come with the FM chip, or do you have to install that? I can't.
No idea. I'm not an expert on Sega stuff.
Us up in the chat.
We'll find out in 30 seconds.
The FM chip. Yeah, because we're delayed about 23 seconds from live, so we're gonna. Fenris will be. Hey, Fenris, what is it? 20 seconds from now.
We got a couple of more comments from Sakina as well. Sakina says, "Aw, happy to be here. Great choices. Awesome." And then I'm loving all the backstory as soon as I follow.
Yeah, that was cool.
Good timing.
No, I love that he turned it around on us. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We timed it perfectly.
Also got a chat message from 8-Bit Moss Playa. Hello, everyone from 25 minutes in the past.
Time machine.
Yes.
Now, if you're watching this throughout the week, I know the vast majority of people watch later, which is totally cool, but you can still comment, and I do reply to every single comment.
Yes.
The ones that play after the live show. So if you're watching this later on, please still comment if you have something, and I'll respond the best I can.
Fenris got back to us.
The Smash Brothers thing. Fenris joins the.
Yes. So the only system with the built-in FM is the Japanese Master System.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Oh yeah, that's the one I plan on getting. I'm kind of sticking to the Japanese theme just because. At least for an English-speaking channel, usually they go with the things that they grew up with. But since I didn't grow up with them, I had more freedom to kind of pivot.
I'm going to be interesting. I'm interested to see what you think of the Master System, because that I tried. I grew up with the Famicom, the NES. I didn't play a Master System until I don't know, the last 7 years or so. I have not been able to get into the Master System like I have a lot of, like the PC Engine I didn't play until it was dead for years, and I love the PC Engine, but the Master System, for some reason, for me, I just have not been able to get into it. So maybe you'll make a video about something, and then I'll get into it.
The PC Engine looks peak. It's got
it's so good.
Yeah, it's got those little hue cards.
Yeah.
It's got amazing music. You've got like the duo, so you can even have CD quality music.
Yep. It's so good.
And the games look like it's got everything that's good about the like NES era. Yeah. It kind of straddles that line between like what you would expect from a Super Nintendo game.
It does. It has a very similar CPU. There's a whole backstory behind it too. Of they originally presented kind of what ended up becoming the PC Engine to Nintendo as like a like the MMC3 chip, one of the chips on the cartridge. And Nintendo turned them down, and then they took it to NEC, and it became a full-fledged console. So it literally is born from that era. But no, I love the PC Engine. I fell into it. When did we play Rondo of Blood? Was that like 2003?
It was like 2003, 4, because I had been watching that silly project for like a year and a half.
Me too.
By that point.
Yeah. So that was, so it'd been dead, 10 years or so.
Sad.
Yeah, it is sad, but I love that. It's one of my favorite consoles now.
Yeah, it got such a short shrift over here in the US, and like in Japan, that thing flourished.
Even though Tony Hawk promoted it,
Did he really?
Yeah,
the turbo graphics.
You can find like an old video of like Tony Hawk, like when he's like a teenager. He has like his half pipe in the backyard, and he comes in and like plays his PC Engine.
The part of it's probably the naming. I mean, neither name is really that appealing, I think.
Yep.
Like the turbo graphics sounds a little corny.
It does.
In the United States. And the PC Engine, well, it's not a PC. So, yeah. Not kind of a Wii U thing going on.
Yeah.
Wii U.
A little bit.
Yeah.
A couple more comments from Fenris. Fenris says, no matter what Master System you get, the video output on it is straight booty cheeks. You basically need an RPG bypass to make it look good. Luckily, Zaxor has just released his own kits for the SMS line.
Oh,
nice.
Zaxor's PC Engine Turbo Nanza is awesome because if you go the S video route, it looks pretty much just as good as the RGB, but it retains the original colors. Because if you RGB mod your PC Engine / Turbo Graphics with RGB, you get different colors.
S video is so elegant and easy.
It's so good.
I really like S video.
I love it's the way to go for that, I think, for sure. But that was a fun discussion. All right, so this is one of my the questions that we ask everybody. So I like asking this one. But all right, you got your time cleared in your schedule. You have nothing else to do. And this is as if you're experiencing it kind of exactly the same as you would have before. But what game would you like to erase from your memory and experience again for the first time?
That's tough. I don't know if I would do any of them. I don't. What makes a game special sometimes for me is the ability to be replayed, and I enjoy how they feel on the first and the second or the third playthrough. If it was reframed to be like, what game do you really love but isn't very replayable? Probably Breath of the Wild. That game's not really as fun to... if you have like 7 years before you've been back, but if you beat the game and then you hop in again and the whole point is kind of exploring the world, but you already explored the world, you know where everything is, it's kind of like, all right. I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do here. But like, it's enough time has passed where I can enjoy it again, and also being salty about Tears of the Kingdom a little bit. I can be like, see, this is how, but... Sorry to any Tears of the Kingdom lovers out there.
They've got torches.
I don't know. I would never willingly erase my memory, I guess.
That's one of the reasons I like that question, because everyone answers it really differently, which is great. I like that. All right, Jack.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more esoteric stuff too. So, if you had to put a Mount Rushmore together for sidekick characters in video games,
This is
who would your
good.
top 4?
This is real good. Sidekick characters. We're going. Well, like, okay, sidekick. Can that just mean like a peripheral type of character?
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily have to be like the sidekick of a game.
It doesn't necessarily have to be the sidekick, just not the main playable character.
Well, first off, Solaire is going to be front and center. That's going to be George Washington as Solaire from Dark Souls.
All right.
I think we're also going to have Dogi from Ease.
Oh,
I
cool.
think we're going to have Shy Guy. Because I really like playing Shy Guy in Mario Kart.
Oh, that's
And
my
it's
favorite
sad
character
because,
too.
oh yeah, the pink Shy Guy is gone though, and that was my main. I would always pick pink, and now in Mario Kart World, it's only red Shy Guys, and I'm a little upset about that.
I
And
tell you what though, sorry, just
yeah,
Mario Kart World, my kids absolutely love playing as the cow. Like, I don't know what the,
How can
what
you
the
not-
deal is.
the cow's
But,
an
like-
icon. Everyone seems to love the cow.
Yep.
It's funny that's it's the most universally like loved addition to a storied video game franchise that I can remember.
Yeah.
No one is like, man, F the cow, right? Like no one hates the cow. I think the only other thing I can think of is like Yoshi being added, and everyone was kind of like, yeah, this kind of kicks ass. Like, I think Yoshi's great. He's cute. He's powerful. He's helpful. You know, he literally like poops out help and items for you, and
Which is great.
and like and you can jump off of him to like live, and Yoshi dies, and it's funny. And like, but yeah, the cow is a superstar. Maybe the cow goes on there in the fourth slot. There we go. Well, that's 2 Mario reps actually, technically. Let me think. I have to pick one more slot for that Mount Rushmore. I think I'm gonna come back to this later and be like upset that I forgot something valuable to me. I can't think of anything else but the cow now. My like I kind
I'm
of
so
tried
sorry.
to take
I'm
a
so
step.
sorry.
I tried to take a step back into my
That's great.
brain.
I can visualize
All I
it.
could see was like it's like staring right back at me. I think it's kind of forcing. Yeah, we'll go with the cow. We'll go with Shy Guy,
Yes.
the cow, Dogi, and Solaire.
So since you mentioned East, I just have to ask, what's your favorite East?
I haven't played any of them. I just am a big Dogi fan.
Dogi's
Dogi
rad.
the Wall Crusher, right? No, I have a bunch of friends who really like East, and so I know a lot about the memes and like the stuff. And it's one of the series I'm most excited to play, but I'm not playing the Famicom versions. I'm saving it for when I get to the
Oh,
PC
yeah.
engine.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah,
that's
the-
Good
really
idea.
all I
Good
yeah.
idea.
The PC
Yeah.
Engine 1 and 2. People talk about it being antiquated. I still love those two. The original.
I want to play with the bump compat, and I like that's how I want to experience it. And then I do want to get into the other games. And honestly, like I could get into like Dana, I could get into Nordics. Like it's not going to affect my experience with the way that Ease was. So like I could still hop in, but I like the characters, and I think Dogi's hilarious.
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah,
Well-
there you'll find that I actually haven't played very many games actually. Well, I know a lot about a lot of different games, but I haven't actually played them for myself always. The other games I've played though, Dark Souls, I've probably put like 2,000 hours, 3,000 in. I don't know.
There you go. It's
So-
not about the
so I
quantity,
guess-
it's the quality.
So I guess follow-up question then. So which Souls game or which From Software game is your favorite? Is it Dark Souls or is it another one?
Well, it's probably Dark Souls. The way I like Demon Souls, Dark Souls 2, and I think Elden Ring's pretty good. I don't really like. I still played Dark Souls 3 multiple times, but it hasn't really stuck for me. I think 1 and 2 are my favorites, and I haven't played Kingsfield. I haven't played all of their older titles. Like I haven't played Shadow Tower. I plan to play all those games. I really do. I'm interested in Kingsfield especially.
There's one that I really loved on the 360, Chrome Hounds.
I haven't even heard of that. It's funny how many games they made because like they have FromSoft developed so many games before Souls, and I feel like I learn about a new one every day. I just learned about a Ghost one the other day that was like something I forget. I don't remember. It was like it was two
Otogi's
words.
really good. I love Otogi.
I've
1 and 2.
not heard of Otogi, but yeah.
It's really both 1 and 2 are really good. And you get the I mean, I always like playing on the original better, but the Series X emulation is really good.
It is.
It's original.
That's why I still have it, is because it's great at playing old, good Xbox games from like 15, 20 years ago.
Speaking of playing lots of games, Jack, I think, has played every game that's ever been released.
I've played probably like an hour of every game that's ever been released, and
which is great.
Finished half of them.
Have you played Burger King Pocket Bike Racer?
Yes.
You have?
Yes, I have.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent.
Wow.
I have.
You can say any
Burger
game,
King
and Jack will be like, "Yeah,
Do
I
you
played
really?
that."
You have Sneak King as well?
I got Sneak King,
Sneak
and
King
I've
rocks.
got
You didn't play Duck Life that time I brought that up.
the hide and seek game.
You found the one.
Sneak King. Yeah.
Have you played Bird Week for the Famicom?
No, I have not.
There we go.
He did a video on it, so he's playing.
Yeah.
There we go. We found. So now we know 2 games that Jack hasn't played.
Yeah.
Holding
I
them
mean
over
that
his head.
endearingly too. I love that he's played all those. Chrome Hounds looks cool. I haven't played that. I was looking at it after you mentioned it.
There's been I can't remember what it was, but if you look on Reddit, there's been some sort of resurgence on it. Like somebody got the game chat working over like the new fake Xbox Live for the Xbox 360. And so since Chrome Hounds, like the entire premise of it was like mech combat with proximity chat, and like you could tap into your opponent team's chat if you hacked certain things. It was so crazy, and it was one of the near launch games for the 360. It's
Fake Xbox Live?
Yeah.
This sounds amazing. Is this like a Phantasy Star Online type of situation where they've set up fake servers? Oh my gosh, I gotta get in. I love the 360.
There's one for the original Xbox too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when you mentioned that thing, though, I'm pretty sure mine's probably totaled. I don't want to open it.
It's
what is it again? Some capacitor that just leaks.
The original
or something?
Xbox. It depends on which Xbox you have, though. It doesn't affect all of them.
Chrome Hound.
Oh,
of course you have it right there.
That is.
It's a Sega game.
It is. Sega published it, but yeah,
Nice.
FromSoft developed it.
That's awesome.
Oh, interesting.
I love it. Very cool.
Anyway, sorry.
No, that's great. That's great. It's a great diversion for sure. Logan, I think you're up. You can hit, if there's any more chat, you can hit that up or go ahead and dive into your.
Not too much chat. There's been a sun emoji, the cow emoji.
That was Jack's son. That was Jack's son emoji, so it's very important.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. My question: what is the controversial opinion of a game that you have that is against the grain of everybody else?
Sure. All right. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is the worst 2D Mario game since New Super Mario Bros. 2, and probably worse than that game. Well, no, it's not. New Super Mario Bros. 2 is just so bad, but it's comically bad. Yeah, I think Super Mario Bros. Wonder is an awful game.
Really?
So
Why?
if you're talking against the grain, that's probably my least popular take.
What about it turns you off?
Sure. It never really builds upon itself in a valuable way for me. We're moving from gimmick to gimmick, and it's literally like easier than a Kirby game. Like the game practically plays itself. The castles don't feel like castles anymore. They're just like regular stages. The power-ups, the Fire Flower feels like the most powerful power-up, and I feel like it never should. Like the elephant is ugly, and the bubble power up might as well not exist. It's just kind of like whatever, you're bouncing on the bubbles, and it's funny too because that exists in a Super Mario Bros. World mod that predates it, so it's kind of like this isn't even really new, but and it works the same way. But I think for me it was like the things I like about the game, to be nice for a second, I think that the music is outstanding. When I was extremely excited for this game, by the way. I wasn't like dreading it. I wanted a 2D Mario game to come out so bad that wasn't in the same art style as the new Super Mario Bros. Games.
Yeah.
And I think the animations are gorgeous. I think pretty much everything outside of the design of the game is 10 out of 10.
No, I love the way that game looks. I'm not a huge fan of the gimmicks either, and like the that go from thing to thing. And also just,
Yeah.
it seems weird to say like Mario 1 through World had stakes, but it somehow it did. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
it definitely did. Yeah.
Like I wanted to like beat those games, but with any of the, I mean, anything since New Super Mario Brothers, I really, in terms of the 2D ones, haven't felt like they've had stakes. Like
I did not play New Super Mario Brothers for the DS. I played Wii and I played New Super Mario Bros. U. And I actually really liked U. And it's funny, the movement's not quite as snappy, but I like the design of the stages a lot better.
Yeah.
And also, if you're talking about no stakes, I feel like the Mario Maker games have 0 stakes. It's just kind of like an experiment in design. And it's cool in its own way, but it doesn't feel like a real Mario game. Part of the reason I was so excited for Wonder. But yeah, at the end
Mario
of the day,
Maker, all those levels end up being like how crazy.
Sadistic?
Yeah, how like bizarre and like can we make, or they're like all automatic levels where it just like pushes you through and like look how amazing I can push you through a level. They're none of, I mean there are, but they're hard to find like levels that are really seriously kind of trying to design to be like a good Mario level.
Yeah, and it kind of reminds me of Wonder a little bit in that way, just because it like other Mario games, when you have a full world, you're kind of teaching the player these things and you're moving along and you're building upon that. But when the thing that you're building upon is just having something different, like I understand why people are interested in the game, and I feel like it's a fun game to stream and it's a fun game to watch. And I think it's really, there's tons of like awesome creative ideas packed into that game. Yeah. It's just that like for a Mario game, it falls flat for me.
Yeah.
I love the way it looks. I love
the
the art.
criticisms,
Gorgeous.
Because they basically took the NES manuals almost and took those still frames and kind of made them into Mario. I still need Nintendo. I mention this every show. I need Nintendo to make a new Zelda game in the art style of Legend of Zelda, the original for the NES, the manual. I want that.
Yeah, you know, actually, I have some ambitions with that myself. Not for a Zelda game, but like I like that style so much. The way that the artwork looks in like the Zelda 1 manuals, even the old Castlevania manuals, like the Famicom versions.
So good.
Like I think, and it's funny too, there is actually already a hand-drawn Zelda in development, Zelda 1. It's been making the rounds on YouTube. There's a guy who's making a hand-drawn art style remake of the first Zelda.
Cool.
Now it doesn't look exactly like the Zelda 1 game, but it does look kind of like in that same vein. The Link looks more grown up, like he does in Zelda 2.
Found it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I lost my original Zelda manual and I found one on eBay for a decent price, so it'll be here Friday. So yes, childhood regained.
And I apologize to anyone who loves Mario Wonder. I don't think it's wrong to love. First of all, I always just say how I feel about the game, and it's not about the person. If anyone loves it, that's fine.
Oh yeah, no.
I love games people hate. Like hate. I love them. So
I like Castlevania too. I mean, I think everyone hates that game. So
a lot of people do. They really do.
That's
actually the one I'm playing for the next episode. That's why I had it on my desk. And
nice! I cannot wait.
You have to have a guy. There's a a patch for it that makes it playable, like much better. It makes sense.
Funny, the Famicom Disk System version is just kind of worse in every way.
Yeah, I would
First
imagine.
of all, every time you leave a town or enter a mansion, there's a double loading screen.
Yeah.
You don't have to flip it, but there's double loading screen. If you go too far to the left, I found I actually did have to flip it to get to the other side. The other thing is the music is actually considerably worse, which unlike every other Famicom game where the music's usually better, Bloody Tears, they ruined it. You can listen, like after this, you should go and look up like Bloody Tears FDS version. And it's really like high pitched and it sounds like they're playing it on little tiny bells. It doesn't sound good. It doesn't sound good. But as far as the game goes, I'm having a surprisingly decent time with it so far, despite all the bad press it's gotten. Mm-hmm. Now, I haven't really encountered too much pushback, but it makes me feel like I'm there. And it has a very strong sense of place and like exploring it and kind of walking around the different towns. It just... I don't know, what do they say? It has an aura, right?
Yeah.
These days, yeah. It's good. It's
that
good.
That game, I can remember getting that one too. We bought that one pretty close to release because we all loved the first Castlevania, and I remember like rushing home to play it and putting it in, and like the beginning music was like scary and getting into it, and then I started playing it. And I'm kind of like, what is this? Like I was trying to.
Different.
It was so it was like it's kind of like Metroid a little bit. Playing through it, and then I couldn't figure out like how to do anything. And then my neighbor figured out that you go to like the mansions. I just know I love the music and I love the style of everything, but I had no idea what the hell I was supposed to do. Like
it's
ever.
beautiful looking. Even the stones have like moss on them, and it's just like, man, this is kind of next level.
I'll be interested, and I don't want to spoil anything, but I'll be interested to see what you think when you put your video out about the last quarter of the game, like the last encounter, because I'll tell you what, like I was super into most of the game, and then at the end
it fell off for at the end.
I was just like, well, it doesn't build to anything.
I feel like there's certain things that I already know about this game going into it that you can't avoid. So I know that there's like the cliff and you got to stand there and hold the crystal or whatever.
Yep.
And I know that Dracula is like a chump.
Yeah.
And
Super
and
easy.
so like, because everyone's complained about it. I mean, it was like the first Angry Video Game Nerd episode. And so like it's kind of got a legendary status. And even like Ego Raptor made like his sequelitis video. The first sequelitis was on Castlevania 1 and 2. So it's weird that this game is like its legacy is like bigger than itself in a way. Because like and it's truly divisive. Like I know like several modern channels like Hungry Goraya is a retro channel that's pretty popular.
Yeah.
I think it's one of her favorite games on the system. And so like she loved that game. But like it's interesting because like some games are like divisive, but not really. It feels like a lot of people just they learned their opinions from somewhere and that's why it's divisive. But this one, it seems like people who play it either love it or hate it.
Well, everyone in my neighborhood really liked it. We were all kind of playing it together. And I didn't know that everyone hated it for years, actually. Because everyone in my neighborhood, you play within your neighborhood, your school or whatever, and like everyone loved it. So it wasn't until much later that I thought that like we were like the only neighborhood in history that liked it. Pretty much, it seems. But yeah.
I'm just glad they greenlit 3 before 2 was out.
3 is so good.
It's one of my top 10 most anticipated NES games I haven't played yet. Part of the fun of doing it in order and taking a long time to make your videos is that it kind of simulates actually waiting for new games to come out.
What's kind of cool, what's kind of cool to do is you can, pretty much read like every old video game magazine. And so it's fun to go back through the old Game Pros or EGMs or whatever and kind of read them and look for games that look interesting because then you have the ability to play them. Whereas, before you didn't. And that is something I really like to do because before
magazines are cool. I miss them.
I love, those the EGM Compendium is coming out sometime in a few. I don't know. They haven't said the final date, but they have their digital archive up now where you can look at every EGM digitally. And then they have like a hardcover compendium thing coming out. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, Darria.
What is your favorite game to play when you just have a couple minutes to play? Like something super quick that you can jump into?
I think the 99 games on the Switch are perfect for that. Like Tetris 99, and my favorite was F-Zero 99. I loved just popping into that. I had never even played an F-Zero game before that, and it was just like, this is amazing.
Yes.
And it was just the concept of like 99 people racing at once. Sadly,
F-Zero.
yeah. It was that game sadly dying. Like I've gotten on recently. It was one of the first games I actually played on my Switch too, and it was like there's like 8 to 12 people, and then the rest you see all the comms come in. It's like, it's just not the same.
Yeah.
Because comms play to survive the race, and humans play to win. So like
Yeah.
when you were playing with 99 people, people would just be crashing out, exploding.
chaos. It's
There's
just
like
chaos.
they leave their stains on the ground and like it's smoking up in the air, especially by the finish line. And so like you had strategies like actually going for KOs to get you more boost and stuff that don't work anymore because the comms just play too safe and all of the humans are up at the front. They're front running. So I missed that game and it was just so much fun. Like, and it's just funny thinking about like when you lose your race in F-Zero, often it's because you literally died. Like they're risking a lot out there on the track.
Yeah.
That's when you get to that on the SNES. I think you're gonna love the original too. I mean, the music throughout is amazing.
Oh, the music is just amazing.
But like that game, the original too is so much fun to play. And the comic book that comes with it, I remember that was pretty rad.
I didn't know it came with one.
Yeah, the manual has like a comic book that explains like all the characters and like the stakes. You know that you're gonna die if you lose, and yeah, GX is pretty cool too.
Oh, GX is amazing.
And now you can
I
play
was
it
Say
again.
that just for you, Logan.
Wait. You're
Yes.
talking about the N64 one.
No,
that's
the
the
GameCube.
GameCube.
The
okay.
GameCube.
What is the N64 one? There's an
X, just X.
Oh, it's just X. Okay,
Just X.
Okay.
Yes.
It's not bad too. The SNES one though, I just absolutely love. That's my quick play.
Something
Like
about
if I
the
have a couple minutes.
simplicity of it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it a launch title too? Right.
Yep.
Is it what?
That's
Yeah,
crazy.
that was the game. I remember playing that on when I got the SNES, and like this is something new. Like this is something that could not have happened on the NES.
You don't get that anymore, really, with modern gamings. It's like, oh, I can see the nose hairs now. Like, you know, it's like it's not like, oh, this wasn't possible before.
The last thing that I felt like that on was when I got my VR headset. When I got my Rift. Like,
there you go.
That was like the last time I felt something like you could not.
I wish I liked VR more. It makes me like nauseous and like headachy after like a half hour.
I tried the like right when it came out. My roommate at the time got, I think it was like the Vive, HTC Vive or something.
Yeah.
It was one of the ones that had to be wired the whole time because it was new.
And it had the lighthouses. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And it was fun, but it was like I just like sitting down. So
Yeah, me too. I don't like to. I don't like. I play video games to like sit and like participate, but I don't want to like move around. I mean,
I like the idea of watching movies in VR, though. I think that's a really cool application, ironically, because it's like you do sit down for that, and it just makes it feel like you've got this massive screen. That's really cool. I think.
I thought,
You can watch 3D in it pretty easily too.
Yeah. It's just going to get better and better. It's just not that breakout technology that everyone buys that some people for some reason thought that it was supposed to be.
The sound has a lot of implications there too, because getting perfect sound directional to seats is difficult, but doing it in a headset, you can do it individually, which is
That's true.
My first VR experience was at Andrew Allen, who was on Padinga, but I was at his apartment and I was kind of complaining about VR. He's like, "You haven't played." Because he's written like he's made like a couple of VR games, but he was like, you gotta try this out. So he puts the headset on, and all of a sudden I'm like falling. Like he put me in this bungee jump, and I'm like going in like the Grand Canyon, and like I'm like, dude, I told you I get nauseous when I play this.
He's gonna love this. We'll start him off with something easy.
And then the second one was like this scare. He's just like, just walk around this house, and I knew something scary was gonna happen. This like ghost girl like screams behind me. So that was my intro to VR. It was spooky. But all right, Jess.
So do you have a favorite like schoolyard memory or discovery of games growing up?
Ooh, I think I probably do. And I don't know if it's like a favorite, but the ones I return to the most are like, I was in Boy Scouts, so this isn't really schoolyard, but what was interesting about that was I was around like another group of guys or boys, I guess, that was not my regular friend group. It wasn't the people I went to school with. So like it was this other kind of separate group, and we didn't really have peers. Like it was a smaller troop, and so it was like you could be, I think like the youngest was like 11 to 18 was how old Boy Scouts were, or 11 to 17.
Yeah.
I think 18 you're done. Like they kick you out.
If you got to 17 and you hadn't made Eagle Scout yet, you were pretty much done.
Yeah, it was over. It was over for you. But so like there were a few people that were like roughly my age, a grade above, a grade below, but we all played Halo too. And so like we would just talk about that. I remember I learned about the secret skulls in that game from like, it was like, you're telling me this game I played 100 times has like secret hidden skulls throughout and they give you powers? Are you serious? Cool. And then like just the online and the lore. It was the first time that like anyone I knew in my age group cared about like the story and the backstory and the world building of the games. And like we would talk and just speculate like, man, when Halo 3 comes out, it's literally going to change the world. It's going to be like the biggest thing ever. Like, and like what's funny, Halo 3, I do love that game and the multiplayer is my favorite in the whole series. But like the campaign was like, it was all right, I think. And the ad campaign, though, was out of control. It was like some of the best video game advertising I've ever seen. So they hooked us. That's my favorite, I think, just talking with the Boy Scouts. Like, we were like backpacking or canoeing, like on a multiple day backpacking or like, you know, camping trip and just like talking about Halo. And like, it was fun. It was the one thing that kind of united all of us. Then there was like the one Golden Sun kid who's like, oh, you guys got to play Golden Sun. It's so fun. They're like, yeah, all right. But like Halo, though, right?
Hey, okay, Golden Sun.
Yeah. Well, years later, I appreciate Golden Sun, you know, but it's just funny because like there was one true gamer in the group and I wasn't that guy. I was one of the I was not a real gamer yet.
We all have our journey.
Yeah.
Well, all right. Well, we're coming up here towards the end. Here, Jack, do you have anything you'd like to say before we head off into the sunset?
Yeah, I wanna just shout out my son real quick. He made me a proud dad. He figured out how to develop music and do music scripting in Minecraft, and so he put together some awesome Undertale music this past week.
That is cool.
So I was like, dude, that is awesome, and he was very, very proud.
That is rad. I get why you're proud. All right, Logan.
Yeah. Well, big thing lately, like there's a short film that Jess, Aiden, and I are prepping to shoot. So there may be some updates about that coming in the future. Hopefully you'll get to see it soon. Yeah, that's gonna be fun.
Cool. Excited to see it. And Darria.
Nothing too crazy for me. Just trying to find the time to. Been super busy lately, so we're trying to find the time to play FBC Firebreak some more. And
yeah.
Also, if you guys are ever on, let me know. I would love to play with somebody.
I will.
So, but yeah, nothing too much for me.
Cool. And Jess.
Yeah, a lot of the same as Logan. We're working on the short film. Shout out to him for making a 4-hour round trip today to secure our location because it was such a quick turnaround. The rest of us couldn't physically make it. But yeah, we film in 8 days. So lots of fun.
Good luck in the Starbucks
nerve-wracking too, right?
Oh, it always is.
Just a little bit. I will say I feel much better now that we have a location.
Oh yeah, that lifted the weight off of my chest.
Well, we at least have a space to film.
True. And
so I think we're good.
Awesome. Yep. And HPRshredder.
Oh, what was the question? My bad.
What were any last words? Final words.
Sure. Thanks for having me on, guys. It was fun. I like talking to you guys. Thanks for all the compliments. I love compliments, so that's nice. It was cool to learn a little bit more about the background of the show. I think it's cool you guys are working on documentaries, short films, full-length feature films, all stuff I didn't know about. So, yeah, just thanks for having me on. It was fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for spending the evening with us. This was a lot of fun for us. I had a great time talking with you. And if you haven't seen his videos, check them out. They're really great. And I think next week we might be doing something a little different. Maybe at Jack's place. We're going to break the glass.
Oh, nice. Like a live thing, maybe? Like everyone together?
I think so. Cool. I think
We'll
so. We
see,
got
yeah.
we got a couple more details I think to work out, but I think so. I think so. But thank you for watching the game show, and we'll see you same time next week.